Hey everyone, I'm not really sure how to tell you this. I didn't think I'd be making this video so soon, but let's talk about it. So it's become a little bit of a meme. I'm a big fan of Montreal's REM. I talk about the projects quite positively. I like, REM, the first one, REM, the blue one, but there was a REM-shaped hole in my heart still. And luckily, in the CDPQ and Quebec government's goal and plan to cake all of North America in REM lines, truly, it seems to be the plan, there's another REM that is supposedly coming, and I'm going to call it REM C, or REM Sud, I guess would be the French way of saying it. The REM South, along the southern part of the St. Lawrence River. So way back in the day, when I was still making videos about the future of cities, I'm gonna get back to that, sorry. There's just been so much going on, and we took a little hiatus of those videos. We're gonna come back. But anyways, we, back in the day, showed the grand vision, all the REM stuff that's planned. And I guess people didn't really take it that seriously, but the first REM East happened, and now REM Sud is happening, and REM Laval could happen. I guess that's REM North. Anyway, suffice to say, we told you so. There's been a lot of REM projects proposed, and if you're wondering, how is this even possible? Well, as it turns out, building with smaller trains, automation, and elevation means that you can build rail lines really inexpensively, compared to, let's say, a fully underground metro that looks like a giant bus. So really, what is REM South? REM South is set to travel roughly, the alignment is not exactly set as far as I know, from Cégep Edward Montpetit along to the southern terminus of the Yellow Line, and then along Taschereau Boulevard, I think that's how you say it, but you're gonna have to forgive me. I'm a big fan of the REM, but my French is not very good. But anyways, along Taschereau Boulevard, where we were thinking there was going to be a tramway. Thank God that you guys didn't do that. Meanwhile in Ontario. And anyways, it continues along Taschereau Boulevard, gets to Panama, which is a station on the REM A, or the original REM, the green REM, whatever you want to call it. There's going to be an interchange there, and careful Toronto people, before you go and say, oh, how are you going to connect the tracks there? Because every train line needs to be connected to the other train line so that we can all use the exact same trains. I don't think it's really necessary in this case. The line will likely continue from there to some point west. It could just be to St. Catherine, or it could be to Chateauguay. I think that's how you pronounce it. Anyways, it's kind of, again, indeterminate, but there will probably be some sort of line in this general vicinity proposed. Apparently there's some consideration between Taschereau Boulevard and closer to the kind of river shore, so it'll be interesting to see what the proposal there is. Now, if you want my guess on the rolling stock, I think it will be the same as the REM East. Given that previously they were proposing a tramway, kind of like Ion, but maybe with slightly larger trains, something like the REM East will be far more than sufficient. To put it into perspective, the REM East should have about 3 times more capacity than the proposed tramway would have. Why? Again, you can use small trains, but as long as you can run those trains super tightly packed, which you can because it is fully grade separated and automated, you can run super high frequency, and then you can get a ton of capacity even with small trains, even though the 40 meters is still pretty big. It's a lot bigger than a bus. Now, I haven't been crazy in this video, but it is unbelievable how much Montreal is building. REM East seems to be moving along, and there's talk of why didn't they tunnel. I think some reports were released. That's interesting. REM A is moving through construction really well. They've been testing trains. It's awesome to see. I'm just impressed. Montreal has gone from zero to hero, really. Nothing was getting built in the in the 2000s, the 2010s. 3 stations have been added so far in the 21st century. And now there's 50 and probably more like 60 or 70 stations being proposed. Montreal did a 180. Now, I understand that people are upset that the project is not public fully, but to be fair, the CDPQ is kind of in ties with the government. It is the public sector pension fund for Quebec, and so calling it 100% private feels a little disingenuous. The money is staying in Quebec, and it's helping Quebecers. Now, in an ideal world, would the Quebec government just be able to build it like the standard metro? Probably. But given that nothing was getting built, I see this as a huge win. The change in kind of model of ownership and procurement, while it might kind of suck initially, look at Vancouver. When we got the Canada Line, I was a kid, but I'm sure there were people saying, P3s, private ownership and operation, that must be bad. And now the Canada Line has been a roaring success. It's driven a lot of public transit ridership, and since public transit is a network, when one public transit line does well, it drives more ridership across the board. And so look at the Canada Line, it feeds into various bus lines, other SkyTrain lines, etc. The same will be true of the REM. It's all surrounding the periphery of the metro, but imagine it's going to help the metro be much more well utilized, especially in off-peak hours and the like. I'm really impressed with what Montreal is doing, and it's slowly kind of climbing its way up to doing like a Grand Paris Express level of massive expansion across the Montreal region, and that makes me proud not just of Montreal but of Canada, because we're actually building a lot of modern transit, and in North America that's a really unusual thing. Thanks for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.